Yeah.
Okay, Ms. Gaspard.
Yes, Mayor Cancel. The 2025-2026 approved budget included funding for the city to conduct a salary survey. Historically, a survey is conducted every 5 years, with the last one being in 2021. Shortly after the budget was approved, I reached out to other HR professionals for recommendations of companies who they've used in the past. Based on those recommendations, we went out for proposals and 3 responded. Of the 3 that responded, 1 was the same company the city's used previously multiple times. So we wanted a new, fresh perspective on the compensation structure. So we did not go with them. We ended up going with Logic Compensation Group. For this survey, the city wanted to really look at all the positions within the city, mainly focusing on the Public Works Department. Also want to look at certification pays and just other pay practices comparable to other cities. We also revamped our job descriptions, so we have new job descriptions as well. And we have Lori Messer with Compensation Group here tonight. She'll go over in great detail of the process and what took place and her findings, and just here to answer any questions you may have. So, ready, Lori?
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council. I appreciate the opportunity to present our findings this evening. Tonight's agenda will be, I'm going to give you a little bit of overview of Logic Compensation Group real quickly, who we are. We'll talk through the phases of the study and the timeline. I'll give you a high-level overview of the classification work that we did, as well as the compensation work, and then follow up with our recommendations, a proposed structure, and some implementation options. A little bit about Logic Compensation Group. Our firm focuses specifically on the public sector. We do a significant amount of work here in Texas. We have been doing public sector consulting for over 20 years. My entire career has been in class and comp, both in the private sector and the public sector. I led this study, and I had Madeline Thomas, a consultant, assist in doing the heavy lifting. So that's a little bit about us. There were 5 phases to this study. Phase 1 was the kickoff, where we gained an understanding of the city. Where did you want to be? Where are you today? Then we did the classification review that occurred from November through February. This is where we looked at the work that's being performed here at the city. Then we went out and looked at comp and benefits and pay practices to see how the city stacked up against the market. We are in the final phase, August, of presenting our finding and recommendations, and then phase 5 would be implementation. During phase 5, we are here to support the city with any questions they may have as they move forward with implementation. So let's talk a little bit about each of the phases in a little bit more detail. The classification study. How the classification study worked is, first we collected data. Employees completed position description questionnaires, which is basically a form where employees got to let us know, here's what they do on a daily basis in their job. Then we took all of that information, we analyzed it, and we created a classification structure that basically provided career ladders for every job, family, and subfamily here at the city. And we used that information. We worked with staff to ensure that everything was correct, and we created job documentation, job descriptions to document the work. There were a total of 61 resulting classifications, 12 job families, each organized into a job family and a subfamily. And it's a great marketing tool as well for the city. When you have a new employee come in or interview for a job, you can show them this is your career path here with the city of Nederland in this particular area. The classification framework is broken up into 6 different areas. There's administrative, which is office support type of work. professional, which is your, your analytical, licensed professional types of roles, maintenance and operations, which are your skilled trades and in the field, type jobs, management level jobs, and you have sworn police and sworn fire. Those are the 6 different frameworks within the classification structure. This next section shows the final classification structure. I do realize I don't plan on going over line by line this. It's 5 pages worth of information. But should you have questions, I believe you were provided the information prior to this meeting. But if you have any questions on the classification structure itself, we are happy to answer any of those questions that you may have. And you can wait till the end if you would like, and we can move along. Basically what you're seeing here is there are job families like IT, there are levels of work, the ADPR, those are the classification frameworks that are surrounding levels 1 through 5, identify the level of work. Then we have proposed title and what the current title is. We did incorporate standardized titling guidelines, so there is consistency in how jobs are titled across the organization as well.
Randy, do you have a question or is your mic just on?
Yes, sir.
Did you have a question, Randy?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay. Okay, proceed, man. I'm sorry about that.
No, no problem. The next thing, once we had that situated, we understood the work. Then we got to the compensation portion of the study. And the goal here was to identify, how does the city compare to the market? What is your competitive position in the market? During the initial, project initiation, it was determined that the city would target the median, which is the 50th percentile of actual salaries and salary range data. Basically, what the median is that number that falls right in the middle of a data set. So once we did that, then we say, what is your level of competitiveness? And there are 4 metrics that we utilize. You're either highly aligned or aligned. Highly aligned is within 5% of market. Dollars are constantly moving. Anything within 5% is pretty much spot on market. Aligned is anything within 5 to 10%. So the goal is to, at a minimum, be aligned. You want to be within 10% of market at a minimum. Once we get beyond that, when you're 10 to 15% off market, we consider that to be misaligned, and anything greater than 15% off the market is what we define as significantly misaligned. It's a material gap that we would suggest resolving. So if the metric is greater than 100%, that means that the city is leading the market in that area. If it's lower than 100%, that means the city is lagging. And you can lead or lag in a highly competitive position. You can lead or lag in a significantly misaligned position as well. So who did we compare against? This list here shows all of the cities that were used to gather market data from. What we looked at in identifying who the city compares with, or who do you compete with for talent? What organizations are within close proximity to you? And also cities that are full service cities like the city. We did look at all of the organizations. We got data from all but one organization, which is fantastic. That is not always the case. The only organization that did not participate was Groves. However, it is missing one organization does not materially impact the results in any way, shape, or form. So we feel very good with what we have. There were some organizations that we actually researched their information from their websites. So that is why on the FTEs, those organizations that we researched, there's no numbers there because we researched off their websites. Okay. All right. So first thing first, when we send out the survey, one of the things we look at is pay practices and benefits. And what did we find? We analyzed 21 different types of certification pays. Of those 21, the city was lagging in 7 areas. Those 7 areas where the city lags are in 2 specific areas, and that is telecommunicator certification pay and water or utility certification pay. Okay. We're going to talk about those in a minute. Overall, everything else looked good. You either matched or were leading the market. So where was the city really lagging? The first is telecommunications operator pay. What we show here, there are 3 different levels: intermediate, advanced, and master. And we are showing what the city's rate for certification pay is for each of those areas and what the market average is. It's important to note that the market average is not a cumulative number. So if you have a master certification, you would receive in the market $2,531 a year. You would not get 1,000 plus 1,600 plus. It's not cumulative. Okay. Our recommendation is usually that the city match the market average. We also looked at cost of living. Last year, the city was a little bit behind the market. This year, it's trending towards the 3% is what we have been made aware of, and that is in line with market. Maintain that. Acting higher level pay. This was a little bit different. Currently, the city has a practice of paying a flat $2 an hour for doing work of a higher level. And it's done on an hour per hour basis. That is not what we see in the market. What we see in the market for acting pay is after a certain period of time, be it 5 days, 7 days, whatever it may be, working days, a percentage is applied to someone's pay to cover for performing higher level work. It is not utilized to pay people because you spent an hour operating a piece of equipment. That is not what we see in the Texas marketplace. Okay, so we do not recommend that. So our recommendation here is that the city adopt a differential, say 5%, whatever it may be, and it's applied after a specified period of time, such as beginning on the 6th day or day 11, not on an hour per hour basis. Why is this? Because if you have a supervisor who calls out and an employee just for 1 day is making sure people are doing what they're needing to do, they're not decision makers when they're filling in for a day because someone is out sick. It's an unnecessary financial burden, also an administrative burden to manage that. The next area is water and wastewater certification pays. Currently, the city does pay. There are 4 certifications in which the city is lagging. And I'm going to say that lightly because right now the city pays for certifications that are required for the job. That is a very uncommon market practice. You can't get the job unless you have that certification. The pay for that certification is inherent in the market value of the job. Our recommendation here is that the city no longer continue that practice of paying for certifications that are required in order to get the job, and that the city pay for certifications above and beyond what is minimally required for the role. The market is consistently around $607, except for that wastewater collection, it's at $674. So in a way, the city is actually leading the market by paying for certifications that are required, but the amount is lower. They're actually like, so it's kind of a toss-up there.
And that final one, the city rate of $540, that's $540 per what unit of time?
It's an annual basis.
Thank you.
Yeah, correct. Annual. Yes. Okay, so now when we get into the actual pay piece, how did the city fare? Very, very well, actually. Actual salaries are highly aligned with the market. You're 1.2% off from an actual salary standpoint. Can't get much closer than that. Range minimums are aligned, as well as range midpoints. Where we saw misalignment was at the range maximums, and it just falls into that misaligned category. The reason we're seeing alignment at the minimums and misalignment at the maximums is because the city's range widths, the distance between the range minimum and the maximum is greater or less than the market, greater than the market. So that's why we're seeing aligned in one spot and misaligned in another. Okay, you're low at the max, you're on target at the min. That means your range widths are, I believe they were narrower than the market. Okay, does that make sense? When we looked at it, some other things that we noticed. Today, when we put this structure, when we built the new structure, we looked at range widths, we looked at how people are progressing through the range, and we made some recommendations. Today, the city has a step system comprised of 7 steps. Those 7 steps, employees max out, get to the range maximum within 5 years, which is a very short amount of time, which is not common for people to max out in 5 years in the Texas market. Increase between steps today is roughly 6%. And the range width is 36% today. What we are proposing is that the number of steps increase to 13 steps. That will give employees, it will take employees closer to 10 years to hit the range maximum. We also are recommending a 3% differential between steps. That is more common to what we see in the marketplace as well. And that the range width be expanded to 43%. One of the risks of having employees max out at 5 years is dissatisfaction occurs when an employee hears that they're at the range maximum. Do employees want to get to the range maximum? Yes. But once they get there, there's dissatisfaction, and you will hear, I haven't gotten an increase in 5 years because all I'm getting is COLA increases. Okay? Employees don't perceive that as an increase. When it comes to sworn police and sworn fire, we did look at them. Sworn police structures highly aligned and aligned. Very good. No problems there. Same with sworn fire, highly aligned and aligned. Range minimums, the reason you're seeing misaligned there is a function of not where the firefighter range minimum is. That is a function of range overlap amongst the ranks. Okay? Most organizations mitigate as much as possible range overlap because you don't want supervisors earning more than the folks that they're supervising, particularly in sworn police and fire. So that's why it's really not an issue because all those jobs are promotional.
Yeah, repeat that last bit. I think you said that you don't want supervisors earning more than their subordinates. Did you
sorry,
mean
did I
it the
say
other way
equal?
around?
Yeah, you don't want subordinates earning more. Thank you. Yes. Good catch.
You're speaking my language here. I used to do this professionally
Yeah.
too. So you're speaking my, I just wanted to make sure. I
Sorry
didn't
about
mishear
that.
you.
Yeah.
That's okay. Mistakes are made.
All right. So what are we recommending with regards to pay structures? No changes to the sworn police and fire. We feel that those ranges are appropriate. We are recommending that the general structure be realigned so it aligns closer to 100% of the market, along with the number of steps being adjusted, the distance from step to step, and some realignment of jobs within the structure to make sure that they're closer to the market rate of 100%. Okay. So from a decisioning and next steps standpoint, there's the classification structure. That is, we're hoping that the city adopt that. It provides a nice framework for the city. Also, it is flexible and adaptable as the city grows or changes. There's also the pay structures, consideration of the pay structures, the general pay structure. We are not making any adjustments to sworn recommendations for adjustment to police and fire. And then when it comes to implementation, the biggest thing that we recommend here is a standardized, consistent approach of how the results be implemented so that everyone is treated in the same manner. It's very highly important. That concludes the presentation. Are there any questions?
Any member of council have a question?
Yes.
Councilman Jones.
For the past 2 years, the city has absorbed the cost of employee health insurance. Are health insurance benefits included in your analysis, or is it merely a compensation standpoint that your organization looks at?
Did look at benefits and I'm trying to remember if we looked at premiums, health insurance premiums, or not.
Yeah,
If we did, I would have to look back. I don't have that level of detail. It's been a while since we did the survey. And I don't, actually, I can probably tell you because I've got it. We did not do premiums. Because of the 21 that we did, we pretty much focused on pay practices. That was the big focus.
No further questions. Thank you.
Any other member of council?
I have a question, Mayor.
Councilman Ortiz.
Thank you. So when we're talking about a salary survey, I was expecting salaries comparable from other cities in each genre or department. Not just percentages or recommendations, but like actual salaries comparing, this is what animal control, this is what fire makes in another city, things like that. Was that actually done or no?
Do that. We commit to our survey participants that we do not do that level of detail. I would caution going to that level of detail because there are, federal regulations that could put the city in a compromising position. Sherman antitrust types of things, price fixing, right? I've not seen it in the public sector, but it is it's a risk.
I don't think Sherman Antitrust Act applies to the public sector. That's just my knowledge of that law, very limited. At the same time, public sector pay practices are public record.
Correct.
I was just surprised.
Provided that information to the city under separate cover. In a public, there's a lot of single incumbent positions as well, so.
So the city actually has that information. It just wasn't given to city council?
We have provided that to the city.
Okay, thank you.
Any other member of council? Not forgetting about you, Randy. Any other member of council before I go to the public? Oh, he is frozen. Yeah. Yes. Okay, hold on, everybody. Just a second. Okay, I'll go to the public. If Mayor Pro Tem Sonia returns to the living, I'll call on him. Any member of the public? Could you step aside for a second to let a member of the public come?
Both have to be heard, so it's kind of like stay close. Consistent with what.
Just state your name for the record.
Shipley, 8765 Holmes Road. I apologize. Consistent with what Councilmember Jones was asking, Nederland has a unique system that our council has afforded to our employees, and I think we all appreciate the employees, but that we are providing at no cost to the employees, the family package. And it's been my experience both in the private sector and the public sector. I'm sorry, we absorbed the increase in cost.
For the employee.
No, you all voted for the family as well.
Okay.
I-
Well, there was no increase, but the employee, hold on, let me pause you. I didn't mean to leave the clock running on this.
That's okay.
The employees pay their annual premium, any increase was absorbed by council. Right.
So I think.
And one second, I'm getting from the finance director and the HR director, just a second. And the employees, we ate any increase as well. Is that correct? Employees' costs remain the same, but not the family. Got it. Thank you. I just wanted to get that clarification. Thank you, Ms. Shipley. You may resume, and I'm gonna start your clock in about 5 seconds. Go ahead.
And so that's consistent with what I understood, that if I paid, say, $400 for me as the employee, and that went up to $600 this year, my cost out of pocket stayed $400. But if I was paying $1,000 for my family, and that went up to $2,000, I still got capped at 1,000. So a large portion, I believe, of the family plan, if someone was smart enough to get on the family plan before that got enacted, because now if they enact it, they don't get that benefit, is one of the things we didn't include in this plan, and I would caution council to maybe adjust accordingly. I would also ask, and was going to do it and can do the freedom of or public information request, but if it is released, what the spread is, and I started calling myself, and I'll be happy to finish that and give you my study, but you kind of paid for it from somebody professional, that we get that study of what the comparable is.
Thank you. Any other citizen have a question or comment? Come on, Mr. President.
Colin Bachelor, President of New Professional Firefighter. I noticed on the list of the cities they compare to, about 4 of those cities were volunteer fire departments. I'm sure we do compare highly well against volunteer fire departments. What kind of research was done into the volunteer departments versus paid departments? Because volunteers don't get paid.
Understood. If there's no data for a job, it wasn't included. So if it's a volunteer fire department, there's no data to be collected. It wasn't included in the aggregate as well.
Any other citizen?
Wayne Borrell. The surveys in the past always showed all the salary hourly comparison. It's public knowledge. It's on the websites if you go to different cities. The whole point I thought was this, to show what our hourly rates compared to other cities. So I would like to see that day public for everyone to see. Thank you.
As I mentioned, we have provided that to the cities, so it has been provided. Just for this public meeting, I think it would be a little excessive to go line by line through each and every job match. So we just did the aggregate for this particular.
Okay, Mr. Mayor. Yes, please.
Could we get that information provided to us, Mr. City Manager?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it was
So
also
line by
sent-
line, so I can really dive into it.
You will get everything. Not only that, it will all be posted on the website.
Very good.
The idea was, since this came in so late in our budget process, there's no way to have prepared for an October 1 fiscal year start. Those that have spoken with me, I suggested that you can revisit it after October 1, after November. Certainly not during the holidays, if not, leave it till Q2 and look at it then. If we need to make any adjustments, they would be at the mid-year, April 1.
And you're talking about for a budget amendment?
Budget amendment, should we need to do some of the areas that were identified, like certification pay, whether we're going to adjust paying operators or folks with certifications in water and sewer that shouldn't be paid. We also pay very well on our overtime, 8 hours in a day. You get into overtime. I mean, there's a lot of premiums, including picking up of healthcare premiums that are not industry standards. So you've heard me state this before. So it isn't an overnight fix. There's nothing to hide, but I wanted to make sure that you heard the presentation before you start delving into what it is, because based on the schedule tonight, we have a public hearing on the budget, and then if you choose to adopt it, that's done today statutorily.
And I just want to confirm something you said for the citizens. You had said, Mr. De La Rosa, that the full information will be posted on the website.
It will be.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, if it's not, it will be posted on the website in the next few days.
Yeah, no public information requests are required. I mean, whatever we have, we're going to post it out.
Okay, thank you. Randy, you had frozen earlier. Did you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, no, sir, just kicked me off for a while, so I appreciate all the work, and I'm glad to see this going out on our webpage so the citizens and employees can see it as well.
Okay, thank you. Any other citizen? Hearing none. Thank you, ma'am, and thank you to our HR and finance directors for all their work on this. Appreciate that. And ladies and gentlemen, you'll see the raw data, I guess you could call it, here in the next few days. All right. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen, let me go back to the agenda. Presentation. Molly Hall, Library Director, will present the library's Hebert Grant application requesting a $51,000 grant for library funding. Mr. De La Rosa, you have anything on this?
No, Ms. Hall indicated that this is generally we don't make presentations when when there's no match, but apparently we do this presentation, certainly want to recognize the foundation for this, so it's before you.
So every year we do apply to the Hebert Foundation for some funding for our library. And this year I'll be asking for $51,000. Normally we cover some collection development. It helps when I'm weeding out certain things out of the collection and being able to replace them. We're starting a new digital service for the patrons. It's called Cloud Library. That's actually going to start on the 1st of September. And it's going to allow them to be able to digitally check out audiobooks and ebooks instantly, any time of day, any place that they are, as long as they have a valid card. So we're asking some funding to be able to put more of those titles onto the website so that they can have those to check out. We're also looking into a subscription to what's called HueForge. It's to go along with our 3D printers so that we can do some more multicolor things and be able to use the public's personal photos and things like that to be able to create personal bookmarks for them during the summer when we do those kind of things. They also pay for our Brain Fuse, which is our homework help, which I can tell you over the last year got used about 50% more than it had been in the past. It's live tutors between the times of about 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Anyone that has a library card can use it. They also have virtual study rooms. So as long as one person has a library card, they can then invite a bunch of friends into that study room and be able to study virtually. It was real helpful it's real helpful when kids have to attest the next day and have forgotten to study totally when it's 10 o'clock at night. And then we ask for money for performance fees during the summer and different things to use during events.
Any member of council have a question? Or comment?
Yes.
Councilman Jones.
I was looking at into this a little bit on the financial information. It would appear as presented between years 2005 and 2026, the only year we have not received this grant was in the year 2013. So that's pretty consistent. I just want you to know I appreciate it. These non-matching grants are great. They cost us time, our staff time, but they have the potential for big rewards for the taxpayers. So thank you very much for staying so consistent in seeking this grant. It goes a long way.
OPM, other people's money. Love it. Any other member of council? Any citizen? Ms. Hall, thank you very much and continued success. Okay, we're going to now have citizen comments on non-agenda items. We'd ask that you had signed in before the meeting and then limit your on a non-agenda item, limit your comments to city-related business, maximum of 3 minutes. If you want to talk about a specific agenda item, I will call on any citizen input on any of the specific agenda items. So now what we have on, I guess on non-agenda, Rhonda Porterfield Melanson, did you want to speak on a non-agenda item or on an agenda item, non-agenda? Yes, ma'am. You may come forward. 1 second, please, though, miss. Your time is not running yet. 1 second. your name and then begin.
Rhonda Porterfield Melanson. I'm up here about the house on Helena. The code inspector, the code builder. My daddy was a home builder. I can drive around all of Nederland and see the houses he built. So I know all about this. Those houses that should not have been done from the beginning. It was built up way too high. The resale of 2 homes on the sides are going to be terrible. And it's going to flood them. That French drain's not going to do anything. They have sand in the back. That's a pile. You can't even get a lawnmower between those houses. My neighbor behind me put up a shed and he got shut down. I had to write a letter because it was on the easement and it's behind his fence. It doesn't bother me a bit. I had to write a letter to the code inspector because it was on my easement. But these people weren't even given the opportunity of that. And their resale value just went down on their homes. They're going to be flooded. It's not right. The code inspector, the code builder should have been doing their job the minute they started laying that sand down. Those things should be shut down, torn down. There are illegals working on it, which should not be working on it. And it all ought to be gone away. So those people can have their houses back. And it's just not right for them to do that to the people of Nederland. The duplexes have got to stop. That's what I have to say.
Thank you. Jolie Shipley, Ms. Shipley, you have a non-agenda item as well. And name and proceed.
Jolie Shipley. One of the things, it's a non-agenda item is just generally about the agenda, not any item on the agenda. If there's an agenda item, one of the things that happened 4 or 5 years ago is everybody was kind of in the dark because the agenda items were vague and ambiguous, and we all scratched our head and came to City Hall to wonder what might be discussed. I know some of you experienced that right alongside aside me in the chairs behind me. Since though the last year or so, we have been blessed with attachments. Sometimes they're 60 pages, sometimes they're 505 as they were this week. And each citizen has the right to flip through it online or pay to print it or look at the parts that entertain them and look at the parts that do not interest them so they can participate in our city. We appreciate that. Those documents are very important. I would ask that for fluidity and efficiency, we insert page numbers on the final packet that is uploaded. Page numbers would allow us to then reference to a council member, hey, go look at page 78. And it would allow you to find it faster. If I print them out and then you use the online version, we're not talking the same language. So a printed page number would be really helpful. The other thing is that when things are added after the packet comes out, and I know that the law requires the agenda to be posted a certain number of days, but if you want to add something that you want to share with council, that's most appreciated that the citizens can look at it as well. And I would ask that either there be a supplemental packet sent up out on Monday that's put on the website, or maybe as the city's been kind enough to print a few agendas and leave them up here, if there's an additional report or program or packet or sheet of information, that be provided to the council, to the citizens as well. And specifically, I know that we've had some updates on the infrastructure projects by the city manager, and he reads a report, but that report's not available to us. And so it's harder to follow along without having seen it because it's not part of the packet. And so it may not be prepared until after the packet is posted, but we could certainly have copies of the 1 or 2 page thing here or posted online. The only other thing I had was consistent with what the prior speaker said, is that the houses on Helena are not on a 50-foot wide lot. I think there's adequate evidence that this council's been put on notice that is less than a 50-foot wide lot, and that the building codes require a 50-foot wide lot for it to be buildable. Nowhere in the code, and I've scoured it thoroughly, does it say that anyone in the city has the right to vary that by 3 inches, 6 inches, or that the code requires close to a 50-foot wide lot. It requires a 50-foot wide lot. I'm clearly not the city attorney, but that would create liability for the city to violate its own code.
And that is it for the non-agenda issues by citizens. We will now go to the consent agenda items. All consent agenda items listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. One, consideration and possible action to approve the minutes of the August 6, 2026 budget workshop and August 10th, 2026 regular meeting. Two, consideration and possible action to approve the July 2026 departmental reports. Three, consideration and possible action to approve the June 2026 tax assessor collection report. Four, consideration and possible action to approve the second quarter of the 2026 investment report ending June 30th, 2026. And five, consideration and possible action to approve the June 2026 financial report. I'm now open to a motion and a second.
I'll move it.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Ortiz. Council, any discussion? Citizens, any discussion? Just wait till you get to the.
Yeah, Jolie Shipley, there are several typos in the minutes. I know that the speaker at the last meeting, Mr. Montgomery, is the son of Norma Montgomery, and it identifies them as husband and wife. It also
Second,
misstates.
let's just go through this
Oh, sure.
systematically. And you're paused, so don't worry.
Okay. I didn't bring them with me. I'm doing this off the top of my head from
Okay, okay.
You know of any?
over the weekend.
Okay, so the Montgomerys are mother and son, you're saying, not
Correct,
husband and wife.
correct.
Okay, proceed, please.
Mrs. Montgomery has a husband, but it's not the man that spoke. That would be her son. Additionally, I think it's Mr. Hebert that lives on the corner, on the other side of the construction on Helena. And his name was, mistyped, in some other way. I just thought that their identities were important.
Okay, thank you. Any member of council recognize those or any other inadvertent errors in the minutes where we need to
I recognize it as stated today. I would need to find it through this 500-page report we're looking at.
Could we just do a correction then, assuming the consent agenda passes to, if we find any subsequent errors like that, misspelling of names, misidentification of relationships, that they be corrected as soon as we can. And Ms. Shipley, if you find any more of those and wouldn't mind telling us that would be helpful. You'll do that to her or for her? I'm messing with you.
Without
Just messing with
objection from me, Mr. Mayor, as stated.
you. Okay, yeah, okay. Any,
I'll make sure that what Ms. Shipley says is an actual correction as opposed to what was actually stated at the meeting for purposes that are important too.
let's, right, let me find those. Let me find those, one. The regular meeting minutes begin on page 36, council, of the attachments. 1 second here. Let me see if I can identify any. And I realize we have a consent agenda motion second on the floor. We may need to separate it out. Let me just check.
So in the, on those minutes, it says Norma Montgomery, 1308 Helena, spoke in support of her husband's concerns. That should read her son's concerns.
And are you on page,
I'm on the minutes, on page 2 of those minutes.
and
from
that would
August
be
10th.
on, let me try to find out where we're at. I have Daryl Montgomery. 1 second, Mr. Montgomery, Norma Montgomery. That is on, page 2 of those minutes. As you said, that would be on page 37 of the attachments. Norma Montgomery, 1308 Helena, spoke in support of her son's concerns. It should be rather than husband's. Right. Let me identify anything else. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. And I believe on item number 2, after reconvene, that'd be on the very top of page 38. Jessica Dart, it's Darder, I believe is her name, instead of Darter. 1 second. I'm eyeballing this too. Council, did y'all find any other things like that? 1 second.
Ms. Shippey may be correct, and I hope that she is, but I just want to make sure that the correction is actually a correction on what was said as opposed to what was said being an error.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I think what was said is accurate. It may be a misidentification of a relationship, maybe a misspelling of a name. That's what we're talking about here. 1 second here. I don't see anything else. Council, do y'all see any other issues with the minutes as written? I tell you.
It's Roy Barrett, looks like on here.
Barrett, it says
Barrett,
here.
it's right below, it's the statement above. Was that section 37?
Yeah, it's on page 37. Regular meeting, new business number 1, third paragraph.
Yeah.
That should be Hebert rather than Barrett.
We know that for a fact, 100% fact.
Okay. I'll tell you what, council. We have a motion second, but I do have, I will accept a motion to pull out the August 10th minutes so we can handle those separately and do those corrections.
I'll move to pull out the August 10th, 2026 minutes from the consent agenda.
We have a motion by Jones, second by Ortiz to pull out the August 10th regular meeting minutes in order to make these corrections separately. Council, any discussion on that motion to pull? Hearing none, we'll vote. Ortiz.
Aye.
Sonier.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Stratton.
Aye.
And Darby, aye. Okay. Now on the balance, the remainder of the consent agenda, any further discussion? Hearing none and seeing no citizens come to the front, let's vote on approval of the consent agenda minus the August 10th meeting minutes. Stratton.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sonier.
Aye.
Ortiz.
Aye.
Darby, aye. Now, because our next thing, ladies and gentlemen, is a public hearing, I'm going to make the August 10th minutes the first thing under the regular agenda. But we have to now have a public hearing. And I'm going to, okay, the meeting, the city council meeting is at rest, and 6:19 p.m. we're going to open a public hearing. Item 1, conduct a public hearing for the purpose of receiving comments regarding the proposed fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. Public hearing is now open. Mr. De La Rosa, you have anything to begin?
Mayor and council members, with your permission, I would like to go ahead and give a presentation to give an idea. It's a snapshot of what the budget's going to look like, or it does look like that's being proposed.
Proceed, Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Put a lot of work in this, so please.
And then, so here's kind of what's being proposed for fiscal year 26-27. Proposing a minimal tax increase of 1.5 cents per $100 of valuation. This
And
increase
there
will-
should not be a percentage after that. They should, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's it should be, that should not be there. It's just 1.5 cents. So $sign 0.015000 without the percent sign. Okay, any questions on that from the council member? No? No. So what is this going to do for us? It's going to raise our revenue from property taxes than last year's budget by an amount of $251,746, which is a 2.98% increase from last year's budget. Okay, The property tax revenue to be raised from new property tax added to the tax roll this year, $69,224. Okay. So this is what's being proposed. Fiscal year 26-27 proposed 0.466000. And if you see what's adopted under fiscal year 25-26, it was 0.451000. That is the 1.5 cents increase.
This
That's
is
being proposed.
45.1 cents per $100 and 46.6 cents per $100.
That is correct.
Got it.
Okay. You'll see the no new revenue tax rate that's for the 26-27 year compared to what it was fiscal year 25-26. So if you go down to the second from the bottom, the voter approved tax rate was 47.4717 per $100 valuation. Okay, so certainly did stay well below that. You might recall the first budget workshops, when we first started running numbers, we were looking at about a 2.3 cent increase. Then we kept massaging the numbers and got it down to 1.5 cents. Okay. And then you've got your debt rate, your debt tax rate of 1.23664 cents. Okay. Any questions so far on this?
Proceed.
Okay. So these are the positions that we're looking to add on. The fire inspector, a street and drainage maintenance worker, a February hire. You might recall we only planned the 2 street and drainage, these 2 for an 8-month period, starting February 1. Okay. Wastewater treatment plant operator training, full-time, and a water and sewer distribution maintenance worker. Part-time, an administrative assistant. We're starting to see a lot of work orders through GovWell and a lot more paperwork being generated. And then seasonal, as the parks director requested, the pool manager, so that we'd have an adult supervising lifeguards during the summer months.
And these are the annual salary and benefits for everyone. So
That
that's
is
not just
correct
salary.
for most employees, except for the 2 that were February hires, and those were based on 8 months. What you don't see is the proposed, we repurposed a position. It's in your budget in the inspections. And rather than another inspector, it is a planner 1 position. Okay. So no additional hires. It's number of personnel didn't change.
Mr. De La Rosa.
Yeah, go ahead, Councilman
Yes.
Jones. And then Councilman Stratton, do you have something after Councilman Jones? Okay, Councilman Jones, please.
Your streets and drainage crew leader, as I recall, that was to support the full-time ditching operations that we're looking at starting next year.
It would be to support that. Should the later object be approved, we'll have an additional grade all. So, and we're committed to doing drainage work in each ward quarterly, starting in October.
Thank you.
Any other council member have anything right now before we move on?
On the part-time, they don't get the benefits like all the other like full-time, correct?
Let me ask HR director. I don't know exactly.
Part-time employees do not receive any benefits.
Proceed, Mr. De La Rosa.
Let me, one correction, unless they exceed the 1,000 hours in a year.
They exceed the $1,000 a year, they have the option to contribute to their TMRS, but that's up to the discretion of the city.
1,000 hours.
1,000 hours.
Thank you.
So Mary asked if there are any questions. I do
Yes,
have
sir.
one. Looking at it. So, I'm looking through the budget and I'm glad to see that there's no increase for our water, sewer and garbage rates for the next year. My question, is that attainable with the increase that we're paying for diesel as well as a increase in price for water treatment chemicals?
Well, it's an unknown. Right, so hopefully the fuel prices comes down and so forth. There is no increase. We are looking to get a grant so we can study the water and sewer fee structures. You might recall it's one of the grants that we're looking. Those studies are fairly expensive, so you may be potentially in the future looking to have a water and sewer rate increase and the creation of a impact fee for water or sewer. With all the infill development or redevelopment that you've got, it should pay for the existing infrastructure that everybody else has been paying to maintain. For example, the water plants, sewer plants, lift stations, pumps. So we'll handle, Councilman or Mayor Pro Tem Sawyer, we will handle whatever increases at a future date based on the attainment of that grant and then what the study reveals.
Yeah, I thank you, man. And like I say, it's one where I'm glad to see no increase. I just want to make sure we're not coming back in a few months having to increase it if we missed it. So that was my question. Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, sir. Okay, any other questions on this page?
I actually had one on you said the city planner and the inspections, that they're not gonna hire anybody. So what's the purpose of putting it on there if it's nobody's getting hired for that position?
No, it's not a new position. It's the count of employees, like this budget says, I think it was 144 employees that are budgeted. So it's not changing the last year's number. It's just repurposing a position that was, it was when the building official retired, the assistant building official moved up, so we had an inspector. Rather than do away with it, it was in my suggestion that we maintain that position with somebody that becomes a planner for the city to help with the subdivision plating and so forth and zoning issues, not allowing or at least taking a building official out of a role, since planners and buildings are two completely different disciplines.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving along.
So here's part of the CBA. You might recall that the police department union negotiated the 401, which is the 457 cafeteria plan. There's that cost. The real-time crime center, there's that cost for 64,000. That's actually that dispatch will monitor that. Most of this is equipment costs and some of those costs, but it is, I think it's a good public safety issue. The water and sewer meters, you were notified this weekend that we started some meter replacement. This is for the next budget year. We believe that based on what we purchased during this year and next year, that we should probably be okay through the end of the next fiscal year. And then we propose a 30% COLA for all employees. It started with the police department through negotiations, the fire department union negotiations, and then we proposed a 3% for the all non-uniform employees. Okay.
Okay.
You'll see in your budget that we're proposing to add benches and garbage cans to Boston Avenue, replace the Fifth Street slide, and do playground maintenance to prolong the life of the playground. We're also applying additional funding to the street improvement program and the new vehicles. I put the large vehicles in here, the slope mowers, the trailers for the street roller, the case backhoe, the dump truck, the fire engine, garbage truck. I didn't put the replacement of the two police vehicles that go back to 2012, the repurposing of the public works director to the water, and they need a vehicle. The one vehicle that we added for City Hall, and again, we're looking at, I can't remember what they were, Ford Escapes or something of that type, because we currently have employees utilizing their personal vehicles, and some we reimburse mileage, and some don't put in mileage. But should they get hurt on in the personal vehicles on city time, we're certainly, I think we have some potential liability. So if we can start having a fleet of vehicles for employees to use at various places, or including coming and checking out a vehicle here. But there's only one vehicle at City Hall that's proposed, and then the other will go to Public Works, a couple of police. So again, all the things that we spoke at the 3 budget workshops, but these are the big ticket items. Okay, enterprise funds. Just for everybody's, a clarification, what it is, it's anything having to do water, sewer, and solid waste. Okay. And our government funds is everything having to do with our police, fire, inspections, library, streets and drainage, parks, and administration. So I think there's been discussions about can we utilize general funds in water and sewer? You can, but it's a loan. Those are self-sustaining enterprise funds. There's a reason they call them enterprise funds. So this is just information so everybody knows that how we handle the two budgets. These aren't the special funds that the PD has for asset forfeitures or other types of those types of special funds. And they're listed in the budget with special funds or equipment funds we have. So we didn't raise any water sewer rates, as Mayor Pro Tem Sonia stated, which means that the water and garbage rates are not increasing for 2026, 2027. It is not my intent to try to raise them mid-year. It is for us to conduct our studies over the next fiscal year and likely be the following tax year. Okay. The city is making a conscious effort to improve city infrastructure and services, which requires additional personnel and expenses. What you saw was mainly the addition. You've already hired here recently a maintenance worker for drainage. We were down some folks. We've added some others in the upcoming year, and including a supervisor. So those are the bulk in the wastewater operations and so forth. So they were already slightly understaffed. So again, we're proposing a minimal tax increase of 1.5 cents per $100 valuation to the current tax rate. Here it is again. So, to kind of prepare to everybody, I think that the majority, I mean, we're going to have some maybe in the 100,000. We may have some homes over 400,000, but I think you're going to see most of them between 200,000 and 300,000, the majority. So what does that mean for a $200,000 home? $30 a year increase. For a $300,000 home, $45. So if you look down below, $30 a year, it's an increase of $2.50. And if it's a $300,000 home, you're looking at a $3.75 increase per month.
Yeah, $2.50 a month or $3.75 a month on the 400.
Okay, that'll be the majority. Again, I know that we have some homes that are higher than that, but what I try to do is try to stay within with the majority of what our citizens have, our population. Moving on. Okay, again, the proposed tax rate of 0.466000 per $100 does not exceed the voter approval tax rate of the 47.47717 cents. Okay. Again, to just tell you that the increase is the 1.5 cents. Again, bullet point. We didn't raise utility rates, and the increase raises $251,746 in revenue to help with the city's expenses to continue to help improve the city of Nederland. Again, these were just summarizing the PowerPoint. So unless you have any specific questions for me, I'm going to stop this. The citizens, or you will get to vote on the budget later. One of the questions that was posed at some meeting back was how much money that we put in for demolition. Some of the inspections, and it is at $25,000. It's a good starting point. Whether it's enough or not, we won't know until we create some history. Thank you very much.
Anyone with council, real quick before we go to the citizens? Okay, hearing no one from council, citizens.
Susan Tony, 504 Carriage Lane. I'm always excited when you can grow a business and add staffing. That's a good thing, right? My question is, which I haven't seen, does the proposed animal control budget include funding for an administrative support position?
I'm pausing your time to allow,
If
go ahead, Ms. Tony, I'm sorry, go ahead.
If it does not, how does the city plan to address current administrative workload needs? The other thing is, can the city explain how the proposed budget is going to improve animal welfare outcomes, adoption rates, shelter operations, and compliance with state animal care? You all know my passion. That shelter has been neglected for quite some time. both budgetary and otherwise. And it's time that the city reallocates some things or finds funds to put into that shelter. I was just there the other day. As y'all know, I go up there quite often, taking pictures and whatnot, doing a lot of what maybe a support staff person should be. But because of this extreme heat that we're experiencing right now, every animal in that shelter was panting. This is something we would go out on a call and discuss with citizens. So it's been temporarily corrected. We've got some nice big fans in there now to ease that for the animals. So my whole point of speaking today is, why isn't animal control being considered in the budget than what it is? Thank you.
Any other citizen?
Jolie Shipley, and I'm going to do my best to stay under 3 minutes, but listen close. Nowhere in this budget proposal that was posted online did you all address the rainy day fund. Did you address what the bank balances are of the other bank accounts of the city and what's happened to them during the 25-26 year? There's also no mention in this budget about the sewer replacements that need to happen. We all know from the February 2025 release from Schaumburg and Polk that 20% of our city will cost between $6 and $7 million to fix. We know that's coming up, and yet it's not mentioned here. That's going to cause us to incur more debt and service on debt. And I would ask that you can't ignore that the tires on your car are flat and just put some gas in it. And that's what it looks like we're doing. So we really need to look at that. And I know it comes from a different account, but it really doesn't. It all comes from our pockets. Some of the things in particular that caught my eye is that although the valuation of your taxes based on the increased tax rate may only be a few dollars, the value of your home likely increased in valuation. So you're going to see a double hit, one for the increase in valuation and one for the tax. If you haven't figured out yet, I'd like to see the city maintain its current tax rate and fulfill its needs on that front. In response to that, some of the things I've seen that I think are just plain silly or should be looked into more so. A $40,000 car for City Hall so that City Hall can go get the mail. Okay, the United States Postal Service delivers to your address in this 2026. I don't know why the city is still paying for PO boxes and why we're not having the mail delivered to the appropriate addresses. Now, is there still running that needs to be done between the departments in the various buildings on Atlanta, the police department, City Hall, and Public Works? Possibly, but I'm going to say, guys, we all are a family and we've got to scratch each other's backs. Maybe there's an officer that could, while patrolling, pick stuff up in a little Walmart bag at City Hall and run it to Public Works, or while Public Works is out, do that. I think there's things way cheaper than a $40,000 car that would fulfill that. I would also say cautiously, maybe it would be more appropriate to reassign the job duties of the current fire chief and fire marshal to include fire inspection and not a whole new $130,000 position. The other thing that's glaring is the fire truck. And I like fire trucks. Everybody knows I've got a love for fire service. But 1.3 million right now, while we're staring at toilets that don't flush in our city, seems irresponsible. So I would ask that we do that. I would also ask that you consider reducing, not increasing, the training for city council. Not that I don't want you guys to be smart, definitely do, but I would ask that you implore virtual training in lieu of $45,000 awarded to city council for expenditures, including training. If I could have just another couple minutes, I promise I'm moving quickly. We are asking.
1 second.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just
Give you a
trying.
minute and a half, see where you're at. Go ahead.
Okay, I would also point out that on page 1 of the proposed budget, we're asking to increase our or go in the hole. We need to raise an additional $2.732 million, almost a $3 million increase in expenses over what we've had in the past. That's a lot. Now, a lot of that is made up by the current taxes that are going to go up 1.1 million without the increase. We're also, have an increase in sales tax, thanks to our local business people. So those are important things. I think we can do without the tax increase. The other things that were significant is the city manager's budget of $3,000 for extra help has gone to $100,000. That's significant. The amount in the legal fund necessary to fulfill the settlement of the multiple lawsuits is deplorable. And that's because we're not taking care of business. I think that needs to be revisited and could be headed off. We've also increased extra help and contractual services throughout the budget. Each department's page has that. We've also increased training, and many of those could now in this day and age be done virtually. The personnel department's up $85,000. That's a lot. The rental equipment at City Hall went up $30,000. Don't know what we're renting at City Hall.
30 more seconds and that's it. Okay.
Thank you. I would ask that on page 11, you look at that. I also think that we should probably not do the Bank of America building on page 12. There's no need to spend $40,000 there when we can't flush toilets. The police department went up $1.4 million. It's an 18% increase. Love the police. Trim some corners. Can't do it. We just don't have it right now when we're throwing that kind of money around. And then finally, in the inspections department, we're adding people. But I'm telling you, based upon the reports you're provided, there's not enough work for Mr. Guffey and for Mr. Pitts to fulfill 40 hours each. And I'll be happy to talk to any of you about it or any citizen, why these things. I have others if you wanted to hear them, but I'm against the tax increase and would ask that you vote against it.
Thank you. Any other citizen?
Bob, you know how I am about this. He just said $25,000 to demo. That ain't very many houses. I think we need to bring the city back from being down low. There's a lot of homes there that need to be pulled down. A lot. I can name two that have never been mentioned. There's homes that need to be pulled down. I don't think $25,000 is enough.
Any other citizen? Okay. 1 second. Anything else from council before I close the public hearing?
Yeah, I've been looking over this. I disagree with getting a car for City Hall. I just think that's a waste of $40,000. I think that $40,000 could be put towards another department, whether it's animal control or whatever. The bank building or the 1308 Boston Avenue, that building really and truthfully, I don't even know why the city purchased that building to begin with. That building really needs to be put on sale. I don't care if it's through an auction or whatever. You get what you get and let somebody else deal with that problem. And you take that money and you can put it towards infrastructure, streets, whatever we can get for that building. I highly recommend at least those two things off the top of my head. Those things we need to relook at that. And like I said, try to use that money and spend it somewhere else that could be used beneficial.
We'll be able to, 1 second. When we get to the, 1 second here. Mr. De La Rosa, where is the, under new business, number 6? There you go. I was looking right at it. Sorry. I need to put these on. Yeah. Right. So when we get to number 6, council, that's where we can have any motions to amend and so forth. This is strictly for the public hearing. Anything else for the public hearing itself? If seeing none, it is 6:45 p.m. Public hearing is closed, and we're going to go back to the regular agenda. And we are going to begin with the consideration of possible action to approve the August 10th regular meeting minutes. We've separated this out, so I will accept a motion to amend anything there in that August 10th minutes that we discussed earlier.
They write them down, or, I was looking for it the whole time. What were the changes?
Okay,
It was I'll make a motion to reword, it was Miss Montgomery's son, not her husband.
Yep.
And it was Hebert, I can't remember.
and
his
not
first-
Barrett.
And not Barrett.
There you go.
Do we have a second?
Second.
This is a motion to amend.
A motion to amend, yes. sir.
Right.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to amend? Then we'll go to the main motion itself. Okay, hearing no discussion on the motion to amend. Stratton,
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Sonia. He froze up again. Ortiz.
Aye.
And Darby, aye. Okay, now on the main motion itself.
Aye.
Okay, here we got.
Aye.
Here it came. You'd frozen up for a second, Randy. Now on the motion as amended to approve the August 10th agenda items. Ortiz,
Aye.
Sonia,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Aye.
Stratton.
Aye.
We heard you, Randy. And Darby, aye. Okay, the motion, the minutes as amended have been approved. And thank you, Ms. Shipley, for pointing that out. Now, new business, that'll shown as number 1 on the agenda. Discussion and possible action to approve the quarterly hotel occupancy tax fund financial report from the Nederland Chamber of Commerce, Mr. De La Rosa. Ms. LaBorde.
I submitted my report a few weeks ago. I'm just here to answer any questions you all might.
Any member of council?
Yeah, I know, a few weeks ago, maybe a month, a letter got sent to the, Joe Arif hotel motel deal. Have we heard anything on that? Has he paid any taxes on that we know of? Can we check and see why he's not paying on that, since I know he's got the letter on that?
The next step was gonna be to escalate that matter. If we need to discuss it further, I suggest we do that with our legal counsel.
Is that all you had, Curtis, on this?
Yes.
Okay. Any other member of council? Did you have anything, Britton?
Thank you, Diana.
Thank you for sending the letter, city manager.
Any member of the public? Okay, hearing none. I'll accept a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Stratton moves, Jones seconds to approve the quarterly hotel occupancy tax fund financial report from the Nederland Chamber. All right, we're now going to vote, council. Ortiz.
Aye.
Sonia.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Aye.
Stratton.
Aye.
And Darby, aye. Okay, thank you, Diana. Number 2, discussion of possible action to approve the closure of Boston Avenue between the Nederland Heritage Festival office located at 1523 Boston Avenue and Wells Fargo located at, what was Wells Fargo located at 1423 Boston Avenue for the 6th annual Nederland Economic Development Corporation EDC Fall Concert Series on the following Thursdays, October 1st, 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th. All the Thursdays in October from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. each evening. Mr. Queer. Oh, Mr. De La Rosa.
No, sir, Mr. Queer is going to speak on this item and the next one.
Concert. You have the handout and I've got extra in the lobby. We will do 5 concerts this year. So as the mayor said, it's the Thursday of every Thursday in October. And there will be a food truck to each one. It's free to the public. Bring out your lawn chair, hopefully a blanket, not a fan because it'll be so hot. Again, it's October, so hopefully we'll have at least a cool breeze. It'll be the same location right in front of the windmill. And if you've never been, it's a lot of fun. So come check it out. And then this will be our 11th year for our fall market, but it's actually our 13th.
Let's not go there yet. We got to take action on this. This is a separate agenda item. Okay, and we would be closing the street from 5 to 9, but the concert would be 7 to 8:30.
Never had an issue, but I always want to have security just in case. So yes, we close at 5 and then we open back up at 9 for traffic.
Or any of these bands coming out, Chanky Chank bands, as my dad used to call them, Louisiana style. Chanky Chank, Chanky 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 Chanky. C'est français. La musique française de la Louisiane. Eh? Okay. Okay. I'll accept a motion and a second to close Boston Avenue.
I'll move it.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Ortiz to approve agenda item number 2. Any discussion, council?
Yeah, I just want to say, first time ever. I went last year for a couple of nights. It was a great time, large turnout. People were having a lot of fun. I think it's a good event. It's free, doesn't cost anybody money, which is important. And thanks for your work putting this together.
Any other member of council? Any member of the public? Hearing none, seeing none, let's vote. Stratton,
Aye.
Jones,
Aye.
Sonia,
Aye.
Ortiz.
Aye.
And Darby, aye. Motion carries. Number 3, discussion of possible action to approve the closure of Boston Avenue between 12th Street to the alleyway next to the Welcome to Nederland Arch from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on, this is going to be a Saturday, October 17th, 2026 for the EDC Nederland Fall Market Day. Mr. De La Rosa, just go straight to Mr. Queer. Mr. Queer.
7, 8. So by the time we're actually there about 6:15, 6:30, it takes that long. I have 4 officers that help in the morning and 4 that help in the afternoon for traffic flow because it gets really crazy. This again is our 11th year, but our actual 13th market. No price changes. We actually start taking applications next Wednesday. And just look forward to it. It's a great day. Our businesses enjoy it. We will close all the way from where the Old Bank parking lot is, all the way down to the arch. And we are going to rent our own barricades as well again this year.
Okay, I will accept the motion in a second.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Ortiz to approve item 3. Council, any discussion?
Last year, we had a pretty good turnout for this event, did we not? As I recall, there's been several events I've been to, but I thought I remember this one being pretty busy. So
Can't tell you how
1,000. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other member of council? Member of the public? Hearing none, seeing none. Let's vote on the motion. Ortiz.
Aye.
Sonia. He's the man of stone. Okay, we'll come back if we hear from him. Yeah, exactly. Jones.
Aye.
Stratton.
Aye.
Darby. Aye. And if Randy wakes up, we'll get back to him. No, he's awake. Mr. Queer, thank you.
say thank y'all for the $500 sponsorship towards the concert season. You did that last year.
Aye.
Thank you, sir.
Aye.
Yeah. Randy, excuse me, Cam, sorry. Randy, you're freezing up a lot. I don't know if there's anything you can do about your connection. I doubt it, but you happen to be freezing up a lot.
No, not so much.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's a quality of life event, so I appreciate the $500 sponsorship last year and again doing it this year. It makes a difference. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Item 4, city manager to provide progress reports on public works engineering projects. Mr. De La Rosa.
Okay, let me try to change some of this up. Do you want me to read every word on this or just hit the highlights, just hit the last this is kind of over and over. So we have a lot of reports.
Let's hit the high points.
Okay. The water.
Because
plant
this is part of the stuff that's posted online,
It's
is it
posted
not?
online and, these updates are actually provided by one of the council members, as a summarize. I mean, if I was going down the list, I'd just be summarizing what that would be, but, we do try to put these things on the, and I believe because I sent them out to have them posted, but the summaries aren't prepared by me. So, but it certainly helps. But you know, the water plant clarifier number one, I mean, we've been talking about it for a little while. But here's what's really interesting. Remaining work includes completion of the punch list items, the final inspection, walkthrough, and formal project closeout and acceptance. Completion is expected to be submitted to the city for review and approval during August. Okay, so I haven't seen it as of yet. Today is near the end of the month,
24th.
24, so we're 3 weeks in.
They've got till next Monday to be August.
Well, and it is. Look, these contracts were don't have a lot of performance metrics in them. They're public records. You know, we certainly we have about 5 or 6 different firms that we utilize. As soon as some of these services are done, and I'm not saying this one specifically, but not everybody will be a future vendor of ours. If they don't meet those timelines, they're being evaluated. I cannot tell you how often we tell them that every time we sit down, that they're being interviewed for the next job. And some of them, I can tell you, will not make it. So we are trying to push these things through, and along with a lot of other things. So let me move on to the next one. Water plant clarifier number 2. Okay, Clearstream is also developing the procurement package for the clarifier's mechanical components. Upcoming work includes providing preliminary plans for operator review and delivering the clarifier procurement package to the city. Okay. Mr. Hughes is not here, but we are also looking at all what's called the front end documents, the terms and conditions of a contract, the metrics that should be there. Mr. Hughes is having to rewrite a lot of that because they didn't have it. So we're not talking about the technical specifications that are part of the contract. We're talking about what we expect, timelines, liquidated damages, those kind of things. And there's all sorts of, philosophy on liquidated damages. And let me just put this, since we're talking about contracts, you put a high liquidated damage, all your proposals are going to come in very high because their chances are, if they can't meet certain requirements, they can't meet the timeline because of materials, inventory, anything, they're going to pay the liquidated damages with your own money. There is a business relationship when you're working with contractors, right? So you hold them accountable, but they've got to be able to show why, right? Just like rain days. We got to be able to approve rain days. So I want to ensure you that we are holding these folks as much as possible with the limited contracts. And again, Mr. Hughes is back. He's reviewing the contracts, and we're not moving forward on some contracts because we don't like the contracts. So they get kicked back. And it's not, let's look at it another week or so, because we already know Mr. Hughes is very busy, and we're all busy, but these are legal documents, and it's not a 1 week or 2 weeks. There has been comments about timelines. The timelines when these contracts were entered by some were by a previous city attorney, and they sat on his desk for 6 months. They were never updated. Okay, so the contract is what it is. It's got doesn't have liquidated damages. So you work the best you can by pushing forward, and the sooner they get the project completed, the sooner we can not issue any more work. But you got to understand what's in there. And they were sitting for a long time, certainly before myself and Mr. Hughes. We're just trying to work through those. So we have asked for some updated timelines. We'll see what we get. And again, they're all being interviewed, and they will not all survive us. Okay. Moving on, the water plant filter replacement. This is engineering continues developing the preliminary plans while coordinating with the electrical engineer and reviewing the Ovivo equipment procurement package. Valve and actuator manufacturers will also be brought into the design process. Upcoming work includes evaluating piping arrangements and operational improvements, developing construction sequencing, and advancing the preliminary plans for review. Moving on to the next one, water plant chemical feed station improvements. Let's go to the second paragraph. Upcoming work includes comparing equipment procurement options, evaluating piping arrangements and operational improvements and completing the preliminary plan set for review. Wastewater rehabilitation, Western 20%. This is very important for everybody, so let me read the entire thing. Design continues to advance on the city's Western wastewater rehabilitation program. Engineering has received the inspection reports for phase 1 and phase 2 North Sewer videos and is preparing 90% plans for phase 1 and 60% plans for phase 2 North. The next steps are to be addressed are to address city comments and prepare phase 1 for bid package, advance phase 2 North to the 90% design stage, and continue reviewing the phase 2 South Sewer video. Phase 1 construction is currently anticipated to take approximately 6 months. Engineering is also evaluating separating phase 2 North and South into 2 construction projects because of the size of the project area. Let me stop there and kind of have an explanation. Westwood is doing 20% of the western part of the city. It appears to be the worst part of our system. You've seen some preliminary numbers from Schaumburg Folk Incorporated, right? SPI. Your numbers are already exceeding something 50-something million. So let me, as a city manager, let me make it very clear. You don't have enough funds, and your updates this evening, those financials, tell you where a lot of the bond money's at. It gives a whole listing of a lot of accounts. So the monies are there. It's just in that report under the finance. But there is no way you're going to be able to pay for improvements to the collection system. Okay, so we're starting to see what the numbers are going to look like on the city side, including the residential side. Okay, so to save a little bit here or there, I mean, it's a nice concept. It's just not going to work when you're looking at these kind of numbers. Okay, so whether it's Westwood or SPI, and we got to merge the two together, right? And then we're going to decide how we're going to prioritize. Because one of the conversations I've had with the Mayor Pro Tem Saunier is that we're going to take it to the voters. I've mentioned that to you. I think we've all agreed that something of this importance, you let the voters decide. We will try to determine what the phases, what the priorities, how we phase it in, because this is not going to be a one-time fix all. This is probably anywhere between a 5 to a 10-year period, depending on how much debt you're going to take on, because it's been decades since you put a lot of time into actually, or put a lot of funding into repairing the collection system. No one's fault. You're not the only city doing this. That's why statewide there's infrastructure grants and stuff. The entire United States has been falling way behind on infrastructure, whether it's water, sewer, drainage, bridges, roads, everything is failing all across the United States. So I am working along with our staff, finance, our professionals, our consultants, the consultants we like more than the others, to make sure that we put a viable plan that you agree to, that we take to the voters. We're shooting to have this completed and have it to the voters. We got to get it done by the end of this year to be able to put it on the ballot for May of next year, right? But what do you want to do? You're not going to issue 55 million all at one time. You issue it over 4 or 5 phases, the amount of debt that you want to take on. That way you're not paying interest on money that is just sitting, right? School districts do this all the time. It's not novel. It happens everywhere. Okay, so we'll draw down what we need, but we need to prioritize this, and we need to look at what these studies reveal, and then we'll make that determination. Now, if the city wants to help citizens and fund it and finance it, and they reimburse us, that's an option. But we should have that, and it's not, again, not novel. I lived at another city and worked for another one, and it was happening in other parts of the state. Okay, let me move on. The lift station rehabilitation. Design continues on rehabilitation of the Canal Avenue and Needleland Avenue lift stations. Engineer is finalizing pump selections, reviewing all site conditions, and advancing both stations toward 90% design. The next phase will include addressing city comments and completing seal plans. Final plans are currently scheduled for completion in September, followed by bid readiness. The wastewater treatment plant centrifuge replacement. Here it is. Engineering and equipment coordination continues for replacement of the wastewater treatment plant centrifuge system. Electrical and structural consultants have been provided initial plans. Cost estimates are being finalized. And coordination continues with the equipment manufacturer regarding centrifuge, polymer equipment, controls, and structural requirements. You know, they list that the next milestone is finalizing equipment information, pricing, and layouts. Every one of these contractors has been told to make sure it's competitive bid, and sometimes it is sole source. We're looking at everything. You can buy different parts. If you're going to change out a complete component, you can sometimes change it out, but it's got to connect. It's got to be able to work with what we have. And now it's like having a car than using the parts you're supposed to, or generic parts, right? So let me move on here. Wastewater treatment plant facility assessment. This is what's important here. Coordination with equipment, second paragraph. Coordination with equipment manufacturers is ongoing to obtain budgetary pricing for recommended improvements. The draft facility assessment is scheduled to be submitted to the city for review in August, with the final report to follow. City comments are incorporated. The citywide sanitary sewer study. The citywide sanitary sewer study has reached another major milestone. Smoke testing, manhole inspections, and flow monitoring are now complete. The hydraulic model has also been completed, with engineers continuing to run additional scenarios in support of their findings. A final draft report has been submitted to the city staff for review and comment. And that is what I've shared with you. Avenue D sewer line replacement. The Avenue D sanitary sewer replacement project between South 20th Street and South 21st Street is moving into construction. The project will replace the existing 6-inch sewer main with a new 8-inch PVC line, replace associated service connections, and install new sanitary sewer manhole. Four contractors submitted bids, with King Solution Services submitting the lowest bid at $87,430.50. The notice of award was issued July 22nd, with the notice to proceed scheduled for August. The reason being is we haven't approved a contract. Now, I heard earlier some meeting back, how did Avenue D make it on the list? It made it on the list because sometime last fall, a year ago, there was our city employees, certainly before Mr. Mills and others, before then, existing staff, between a manhole and another manhole, they tried to run dye to see if it was coming out. It didn't make it into the storm sewer, nor did it come out at the other. Where did it go? We don't know. That's why it becomes a priority. We don't know exactly where the sewage. There's some sewage. We've had homes that have either been demolished, somebody acquired the properties. Were those connections, and were they properly capped? So again, there's been no report of sanitary sewer spillage, because you can't grab it because you can't find it. Mayor and council members, that's why it made the list. It's an environmental issue. It needs to be addressed. It's in the middle of the road. It's gonna be open excavated. It's gonna just be filled in, and some future date, the road will be redone. It doesn't carry a lot of traffic. It's 350 linear feet, too long for our staff. Plus, we're understaffed. And just like you saw the water leak this morning, we had water leaks all weekend. Okay? We're having a lot of infrastructure failures because the ground is shifting because it's too dry. Okay? But again, that is, so I didn't ask you. This is an important matter, and environmentally, it needs to be addressed. That's how I placed it, why I placed it, to be addressed. Moving on, drainage improvements. Allen Meadows drainage improvements, design is complete for drainage improvements within the cul-de-sac at Avenue Inn at 17th Street during the latest reporting period. Final easement drawings were submitted to the city and permit and easement documentation was submitted to Entergy Flint Hills in Drainage District number 7. The project is awaiting final easement execution and outside agency approval before it can be advertised for bids and move into construction. So we're working with the dedication of Entergy of an easement to the city, and we're making sure that the other entities like Flint Hills and everybody's okay with it. So we're ready to move forward as long as we tie up all of these required documents that get recorded. Lastly, the Shelley Drive drainage improvements engineering is 75% complete. Preliminary easement descriptions have been completed, and the city will work with adjacent property owners regarding the required easements. Engineering will revise the easements as necessary based on those agreements and finalize the project plans once the easements are established. Again, Mayor and Council, any questions for me, Mayor?
Council, anyone?
Oh, no, I still have another page. There's 4 pages. Let me move on. The Hardy.
There's more.
There's more. The Hardy Avenue drainage improvements. The proposed drainage easement has been completed. The city will coordinate with the Catholic Diocese of Beaumont regarding the proposed easement. Once an easement location is agreed upon, engineering anticipate producing approximately 95% of plans for review by the city in Drainage District number 7. This project will likely not move forward. The reason being is the proposed easement, there's a crest there. The amount of water that we're going to take it across and the future plans of the church's building and the number of residential properties being impacted is not many. So therefore, some of it's all been a kind of an analysis. I met with the engineer this week. Based on that, I said, pause it. That's an issue for another day. There was some road repairs, and we know that. My staff met with the priest of the church. Sidewalk, the water comes up to the sidewalk, and as fast as it comes up, as fast as it recedes. That does not become a priority. So, and for us to go across and catch us to the next roadway, and we were asked by the church to put it along the property line. That creates even more logistical, and they lose some of the property if they go across, or we'd have a building on top of the easement. So it is not something we're going to move forward at this time. Again, this was out before the meeting that I had this last week. Stormwater management program. The city also continues its stormwater quality compliance program through the Jefferson County Stormwater Quality Coalition. During July, 3 construction site inspections were conducted in Nederland, and inspection information, field notes, and photographs were entered into the city stormwater management database for inclusion in the 2026 annual report. That is the firm of LJA. Their scientists have submitted their proposals. We're reviewing those. It is fairly expensive if you do your own stormwater management plan. That's you want to keep those costs down by being part of a coalition with other partners. So I'm going to encourage we do that. Next one, street and concrete improvements, city asphalt, city streets. Surveying and geotechnical work are complete, and the asphalt rehabilitation plans have now reached the 95% design stage. Engineering is reviewing Avenue G and anticipates advancing the project to approximately 98% completion within the next several weeks, at which time bid dates are expected to be determined. Last one here, concrete street panel replacements. Surveying is complete, and the concrete panel replacement plans have now reached the 95% design stage. Engineering anticipates advancing the plans to approximately 99% completion within the next several weeks, with bid dates to be determined at final stage as final design is completed. I've got Mr. Shelton, working on your multi-year capital improvement plan. What you see in your budget is, it's basically a 1-year capital purchase or improvement. A 5 to 10 year will, based on the bonds that were issued, how much we can go for it with these, spending those bonds in accordance to how they were adopted, right? There's an ordinance that says very specifically the manner you can spend these funds. So, Mr. Shelton is working with the finance staff. I know he's been meeting with, Ms. Stucker, so I need that plan so you can review it. And if you're in agreement with the plan and how we're gonna spend down those bonds that were issued many years ago, then you can adopt it and amend it into your budget. Okay, so again, it's been getting all the contracts together and what projects need to move forward and what qualifies under those bond issuance. Now I'm done there. Any questions?
Okay, council, any questions?
Yeah, I know you were stating y'all were dealing with a lot of these companies and you said some of them won't be back and looking at contracts. I think it'd be best in the city's interest if we put some type of penalty clause moving forward on some of these projects. So if they don't get it done by X amount, then they, you have to pay, they have to pay a penalty back to the city. So I think moving forward, to help things move along faster and get the jobs done in a timely manner, then there needs to be a penalty clause put in these contracts for these contractors that doing the work here in the city.
Is that all you had, Curtis?
Yes.
Okay. Any other member of council?
Yeah, Mr. De La Rosa. So obviously a lot of things right now in pre-phase, engineering phase. Unfortunately, we have to plan before we put a shovel in the ground. Just based off generally your experience with working with various municipalities over your career, given the size of our city, would you say that the amount of preliminary projects we have going on right now is substantial?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So look, San Benito was twice his size. So we had a lot of projects, but nowhere near this many. And I agree with Councilman Stratton. There needs to be a penalty clause. Generally, you have a deliverables date, start in, and then there's a penalty, right? Beyond, you don't have to call them liquidated damages. Those are usually based on construction. You can't even get the plans to us, right? If there's a reason, then you explain it. Tell us why, right? So there's a certain amount of frustration even between myself and my staff on why we're not seeing much more. But yeah, you have a lot of projects. There was projects that started that I don't understand why they went ahead of some others, right? When we're talking the centrifuge and what, I mean, there was, I just don't, I wasn't here. I don't know what the elected body instructed management at the time. I don't have that information for me to speculate. What I'm saying is this is a lot of projects. There's a lot of moving and you don't really have the employees with that type of experience to make those kind of decisions. They're not familiar with contracts and certainly not familiar with these kind of contracts. These contracts and one of the things that Mr. Hughes is working is we don't want to use an AIA or some contractor's contract. We want terms and conditions that are city generated. They generally slided towards city government. Yeah, we're government and they're in our benefit. They're our contracts. You're based, a lot of the contracts, Councilman, were based on proposals. That doesn't have a lot of substance to it. But there is so much work done and you have a large, and this is one of the concerns my finance director has, is that we have a lot of funds that we're not spending down fast enough that we need to stay that, or we need to at least expense them so we don't get in trouble with the IRS and have arbitrage.
Talking about the past bonds.
Past bonds, yes, sir. So, I mean, if you got a good explanation and you got projects, and I think that might have been as there was a lot of projects that they just started throwing money at these things to spend it down. but it wasn't well planned. And again, that is Manny's opinion, nobody else's.
Thank you.
Any other member of council? Randy, did you have anything? Don't want to forget about you out there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any member of the public? Okay, that's, thank you, Mr. De La Rosa. Item 5, discussion and possible action on ordinance 2025-16 of fiscal year 2025-2026 city budget with amendment. Ordinance, number 2026-14, amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget for the following items. A, Public Works budget for Gradall XE 4100 hydraulic excavator in the amount of $494,452.90. This purchase includes a trade-in of the 2009 Gradall excavator for $2,500. Probably a box of Cracker Jacks too, as old as that thing is. Yeah. B, Public Works budget for the purchase of a hot seat, hot water gas engine pressure washer with trailer in the amount of $14,441.67. Mr. De La Rosa. Sorry. Mr. Bell.
Thank you, Mayor, councilors. For the record, Fred Bell, Director of Public Works. First item I'll go over is going to be the Gradall. This is one of those big ticket purchases, but I can tell you that this is going to be a piece of equipment that's going to, once we get the people and staffed up, it's going to help move a lot of our drainage projects along on a regular basis. That's been one of the concerns that have been brought to us over and over again. The Gradall that we have, it's done a good job, but it's been breaking down on us. So it's time to, give it a little bit of a rest. We still got some life out of it. We'll have to still probably put a little bit of money over time, but for the most part, we can get some more time out of it. This new piece of equipment is actually, I think it's sitting in Beaumont for us. We've been talking with the sales rep. This is, the timing is perfect. Is for this opportunity to put something into the hands of the staff. They're a little concerned about it because it's a big piece of equipment and we know the expectations. We want to see both of those Gradalls out working on a regular basis. We're going to do the best that we can with the staff that we got. As you know, the guys are really hitting it hard, but for the most part, they're looking forward to it. We just got to get working in the schedule on how we can get the right people, get them trained up, implement and incorporate this equipment as part of our staff. There will be training that the company will come out, and they've said that if we have to have them come out again, we will. And it's going to be my plan to at least twice a year have them come out and work with our staff, just kind of refresh. So that way, equipment that one person may not be on it every day, but there's going to be a refresher course, so that way they'll be comfortable with it. And then I'm answer any questions if anyone may have about it.
Okay. City Council, let's do a motion in a second, and then we can get into any questions and all that with Mr. Bell.
I'll move the item.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Ortiz to move, and you're talking the entirety 5A and B, Britt?
Yes,
And
that was
Jeff?
my motion.
Okay. Okay, 5A and B is on the floor. Any member of council have a question or comment?
So what are the current hours on our existing Gradall?
Oh, that's a good one, Counselor. That information I do not have. I know it is almost at its shelf life. That's some conversations that so I don't know how long it's expired before.
So I'm all in favor of this. I mean, it's one we need to be cutting ditches. I just need something that we need some KPIs at each council meeting on how much we're using this, how much ditches be cutting that we're cutting, because we
Sounds good.
Gotcha, Counselor.
Yeah, let me, Mayor and council members, if I can answer, I think what the Mayor Pro Tem was asking. Part of the KPIs that we're looking for is we've provided our supervisors some tablets. Part of it is to track the jobs, take photos of what we've got and indicate the time the amount of time we're spending at these projects, whether it is stormwater regrading the ditches, or working on a, water leak or sewer leak. And the reason being is these tablets are rated for field work. We're training them. Not, and more importantly, it's two reasons. It helps us track work orders or task orders. One, and two, after hours or weekends, it helps us track when we got a call, when we started, because we're logging those things in our work orders. This, we work 3 hours, 4 hours, doesn't really fly. I mean, we need to be able to electronically track our employees. And that's why we spent so much time here recently, as recent as the last month, we got the last tablet for the water and sewer utilities, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to talk about this one a little bit. So long that I've been on council, and since I've been on council, I have repeatedly heard from citizens of all walks of life that we have to get better at the ditching. We have to get better at the ditching. So coming into this new budget year, some of the other council members shared the same thoughts, was to establish a full-time drainage crew to cut ditches, to clean our catch basins. I'll take it a step further. If we do purchase this, and I hope we do, because I've heard plenty from the citizens and what they want. And we get this crew established. I want updates on where we're at with this piece of equipment. Bi-monthly, whatever happy. I want to see what we're doing with this piece of equipment in the future. And that's a conversation for Mr. De La Rosa, but I want the public to understand that. I'm hopeful with, if we are able to purchase this piece of equipment today with the additional staff member that was recently approved, as well as what's proposed in the budget, we will have this crew going early next year. And that's what's been indicated to me throughout the budget process. Of course, a lot of it hinges on this. Now, another thing regarding this, understand we have the one grade all right now. I know it's broken down. It's been in the shop. It's been back, whatever have you. Something I want to avoid, if at all possible, is, if we operate with the one we have a full crew. Their job is drainage. That equipment goes down. I don't want that crew to be sitting at the shop because their piece of equipment to go do their job is at the shop. If we have this piece of equipment, and I'm hoping that we're considering keeping the second one as a reserve. So if this big boy goes down, there's no reason to not have the other one out working. And I hope that that's what we're looking at.
Ultimately, we are, Councilman, let's recall we're critically short on people right now. We got
Right.
2 extended leave. That's always going to create a challenge because we still have to perform the other functions of that division. And so having to rob Peter to pay Paul. We're hoping that as people come back, get healthy and we keep them and get them trained up, and hopefully we'll be able to, come back and maybe get a couple more positions approved from y'all, so we can have the challenge we have is building our bench. Our bench is limited and has a lot of vacancies because of just attrition and then just inexperience. They're eager to learn. They want to
Yeah.
learn.
Well, you answered my other question, which was training. If we are to purchase this today, my expectation of Mr. De La Rosa and his staff would be we set up training, because everybody that is going to be operating this needs to have been trained.
Absolutely.
There's no excuse
No.
to not be able to get on this piece of equipment and go do the job. And that's what my expectation is going to be. And I'm going to hold staff to it next year. Thank you.
Any other member of council?
Yeah, my concern when spending this type of money is we don't have the personnel right now for this equipment. I agree the ditches need to be done. They need to be done properly. We need to do it in-house, but to do it in-house, you gotta have the people. And we're so short-staffed in that department because we just lost another employee, from my understanding, that we don't have the personnel to run this equipment. And that's gonna be a factor we spend $500,000 on equipment and we have nobody to run it, and that $500,000 equipment is just sitting idle, not doing anything. I think it needs to be, we need to get the people in, and make sure that we have enough employees to, handle this, before we just jump off and spend $500,000. Like I said, I'm all for the ditching, but we got to have the personnel to do it. And like you said, you're having to rob Peter to pay Paul. Well, like I said, if you don't have the heavy equipment operator to manhandle this, then this thing's just sitting there and we just bought a $500,000 paperweight. I just can't see right now, until we get staffed enough, spending this type of money. And the pressure washer, what is the reasoning for this? I'm curious on that.
I can answer to that, if I may. I don't want to interrupt if you
No,
want to continue.
I'm curious what we need a pressure washer for $14,000 for.
Yeah. So I've requested in the past that we start cleaning up our public spaces. I'll go down to the rec center. There's mildew all over the walls. I'm not dogging any member of staff. We don't have the tools right now. The option is to go rent a piece of equipment, $800, $1,000 a week, which is what was done across the street last summer, as well as some of the areas on Boston. I have turned in numerous requests to the city manager for cleaning of public spaces, including the Homer Nagel Public Safety Complex, and various others as well. I don't want this work outsourced. I want us to be able to clean our public spaces, because it seems odd to me that as a city, we don't have the means to keep our public spaces clean for our citizens without going out and hiring contractors. I think that work should be done in-house. And that's why I had been very aggressive in requesting this. And I hope we can do that, because the citizens set the bar and it's high. They want our public spaces clean. They want their infrastructure taken care of. I think we can do that.
Councilmember Jones, if I could add a little information. Last summer, you're absolutely correct of the work that was done. Staff rented a power pressure washer for $785 per week. Two to three staff members spent all day out there working on that in that area. The City Hall project, that contract would cost the city $2,800 for that one contract. The Boston Avenue contract cost the city $5,000. So right there, you're looking at, without including the labor hours of the staff who did the week work, you're looking at about $8,600 for one and done. This will at least provide the equipment that we will have in-house. We can, it'll be used amongst multiple departments, and we were able to, it's a trailer mounted, hook it up, creates some of that high temperature water to help with the mildew and the chemicals of cleaning. But I think that within a couple of uses, we've already recovered what would have been cost on that contract labor.
Any other member of council?
Yeah, so back to the Great All. So do we currently have staff to run this machinery?
We do, but something else will probably have to be put on the back shelf. Because we're bouncing between regular road work as well as drainage, ditches, culverts, and the street road.
Yeah, let me stop you there. Councilman Ortiz, we're already stopping some other work to get the regrading of ditches. The placement of culvert pipes, if we can work one a week, because it takes us half a day to put a crew, mobilize, place, and all that. So the drainage work has become a priority. You don't need a Class B. You need to know how to operate this equipment. So, so there is already work that and we've had contractors call, and I know Councilman Jones knows some of them because they call him, then I get a call, and then I tell inform Mr. Well, no, I instruct Mr. Bell, show him the number of work orders that we got. And the reason being is, that wasn't his decision. It was mine. I think that us getting to drainage regrading work first takes a priority over anything. I said we were going to assign somebody to every ward. It's a 3-man crew, right? Other things get behind, unless it's a water leak, and they're not the guys that work on the water and sewer leaks. So we want this thing moving forward. Drainage and flooding are your biggest concerns next to water and sewer, right? We want people to be able to flush line stuff. That's a longer term impact. This is something you can see much quicker. So the trade-in is the 2009 that hasn't been operable for some time. It's a ugly gray color piece of equipment. You saw it the day we took the tour. I can't recall the one that, and it was down for 2 weeks before we got it back and running, right?
Talking
It's
about the current grade on.
the current grade, all that we have, down for 2 weeks. So nobody sits around, trust me. I'm in there in the mornings, I'm in there in the afternoon. If I see somebody where I think they're not supposed to be, he's the first person I call. Okay? So the point is we are going to put some projects behind. We're not going to stop the placement of culvert pipes or stop the placement of other items, but we're certainly not going to make it a priority. If you want it to be a priority, then you hire a contract to do it because it's really just serving your interest, not us. The ditches are important to us. So we've had discussions about mowing. We know what the ordinances are, right? They own the ditches, they mow them, we have ordinances and stuff like that. That takes up a lot of our time. Plus, every time, as I explained to you, Councilman Ortiz, when we regrade and we pull that foliage out and then we pull out the roots, it is no longer level. And Councilman Jones, remember we had some folks upset that it's holding water? It's intended to hold water, right? Even roadways that are designed, as a matter of fact, roadways are designed to channelize water because you want the streets flooding rather than your homes. These are engineering designs. So, but I wanted to make sure that you understand we're committed to this because I'm committed to it because I want a crew on this stuff working. So, how we get there means that certain things, unless it's a priority that we've got to get all hands on deck, they're out there doing it, and we're going to get around every cord to award. If not only will you be inquiring from us, Councilman,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to be inquiring as to why we're not meeting those metrics. That's all I've got for, I've answered.
Okay. Any other member of council? Any member of the public?
Smith, 2108 Avenue C. In regards to the Great All, the purchase price of almost 500,000. I was wondering if that price includes any of the initial training or any of the subsequent training needed, or if that's an extra fee. Okay, thank you.
Keith?
Keith Bass, 2415 Avenue E. So the 2009 model, we're gonna get $1.50 or something for it. In the fiscal year of 2021, we purchased this other Great All that's now not usable for $365,253. So why is it not usable? What happened within 5-ish years, 4.5, 5 years to where it's not usable? Are we not maintaining it? Their service records? Is it employees not using it correctly? Because I mean, $365,000 4.5 years ago is a lot of money to turn around and spend $500,000 on another brand new one that's probably going to break in 4 years again.
I've heard no mention to sell the current one.
Say sell the current one. We said it was broke. It was in a shop for 2 weeks. Are we not keeping it maintained? Where the maintenance records?
Yeah.
When's it being serviced?
They maintain it. They do a good job of they actually have a very good maintenance program down there. The bottom line is equipment breaks, heavy equipment breaks. I see it every day in the industry I work in. It breaks down. It needs to be fixed. It needs a radiator, something blue. I know they build hydraulic hoses in-house. They don't sub any of that out. We have very talented individual down there who's very good at that. They keep as much of it inside as they can. Sometimes the break is beyond what their capability is, and it has to go to Great All in Beaumont.
So how are we going to maintain this one better than this one that's 4 years old?
Has this one not been maintained good?
I mean, we're fixing to spend $500,000 on the.
Well, I just heard you say it hasn't been maintained good. So is there something you know that I don't?
Something new, correct? because this one's, I'm being told just now that this one hasn't been working well.
Mm,
So if it's not working well, my mind, because I'm just a basic guy, isn't being maintained properly. If you spend $300, $400, $500,000 on a piece of heavy equipment, you're gonna maintain it properly. So we've seen all the maintenance records on this, that it's been done according to Great All specs, oil changes, belt tightening, radiator hose, all that's been maintained and it's been documented. Because I'm not for $500,000 on another Great All. We don't have the employees. We can't dig ditches. So why are we spending $500,000 on something when we can't use it?
I believe it was discussed that we're getting a full-time crew set up.
But we're not gonna use it until next year, a whole nother quarter. I mean, am I missing?
Well, the machine could be used. Nobody said the machine can't be used now until the second quarter of next year. I believe in the budget, what we had discussed was they had one in stock now, or two at the time. Now it's one. And there's a very significant lead time on that piece of equipment.
So it's just like the generator, we need to buy it now because they only have one and we need it right now so no one else will get it.
I want it now because I want the citizens to have ditches that drain, and I want city employees to have good equipment. And if one breaks, I don't want the crew sitting down there because other Great All, the one we have now is in the shop for 2 weeks and they can't dig ditches. And we've got 5, 6 employees that are waiting on the Great All to get back.
What reason now? For 2
What,
weeks?
what was the issue with it, Mr. Bell?
With the bucket?
The grapple. Yeah, the bucket, whatever. Yeah.
So, and then, Mr. Delores, you said the water and the ditches, it's supposed to stay in there. That is correct, but isn't it supposed to also flow and drain to DD7 switches?
Yes, so when I said flow, we're talking about, what I was talking about, what I saw was inches, not a lot of water. So, the house that you took me to.
Mhm.
So, all ditches hold a certain amount of water, so it's supposed to flow, but they don't always flow because they take a lot of grading and you've got miles and miles and miles of open ditches.
So, I mean, that's it. Nobody has any other recommendations or anything? It's gonna be we're gonna buy it now or not?
I didn't mean to overstep anyone. I've been talking a lot, but it's the whole council. So anybody else want to talk?
No, like I said, I stated my point that we don't have the personnel for this machine right now. And I don't think spending the 500,000 when we don't have somebody to run it and a crew to run it on a consistent basis is what we need. So that's where I stand on it.
Mayor, if I may speak. Council members, you might recall that when Kenneth Morrison, our solid waste manager, do you recall how often we're changing trucks because they're heavy?
The garbage trucks, there's a programmed, it's actually a very concise replacement program of that equipment.
And why is that?
Because that equipment gets very expensive when it breaks and it's got a lot of moving parts on it.
It's got a lot of
Correct?
moving
Is that what
parts.
we discussed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And because they're heavy pieces of equipment, they take a lot of beating. The replacement, by the time they serve about 4 years before they get put in the reserves, right? If I recall, this truck was a 2021, it's 5 years old, the Great All excavator. I look at the Great All, not any different than I do garbage trucks. Whether they're the primary or the backups, not any different than when I look at a fire truck, a primary and a backup. They're piece of equipment that when you need it, you need something working, and that's why they get moved to become the reserves. You can still use them. And if you've ever bought a vehicle or equipment that's limited, it can happen. But the idea is that, do we commit to this or not? I mean, whatever you decide, I'm good with. We're still going to use whatever year is a 2021 Great All. We'll use it until it breaks. We'll send it in, repair it again. Or do you want to have a primary and a backup? That way you've always got a piece of equipment. The current machine doesn't have, it's got that bucket, but it doesn't have the grapple. This one has the grapple, and they're not interchangeable. There was discussion about holding off for the next series that comes out sometime next year. And the idea was, you know, if it didn't pass, maybe we'll try it again next year. But the idea is at least from my perspective is, do you want that backup and do you want to commit somebody to it? And then if you're going to work it that much, as much as it is, I don't know if the old one's going to handle that much before it breaks down. And this one does have a grapple that should you have a storm that we can actually grab debris out of the ditch and move it out, right? That's all. I just wanted to recall about the heavy equipment.
Yeah, but going off of that, I mean, I know there's people that've got equipment that's 20, 30 years old and still works just fine because it's been properly maintained. And like Mr. Bass said, we need to, you know, this thing hasn't been maintained properly. And that's why the things keep breaking. And that's why, you know, we just spent, you know, like you said, 4 years ago, $300-something thousand, and here we are fix to spend another $500,000 on the same piece of machine. So you have to look at that as well, because like I said, if you're not maintaining it, then yeah, it's not going to do what you need to do because it's not getting properly serviced yearly like it probably should be.
And I was just gonna touch on the pressure washer trailer. Who's gonna run that?
Actually, let me answer that, Mayor, council members. Mr. Bill asked me if it was going to be Public Works. I said no. For example, parks. When you go to parks, you'll see the red curb. You see the mildew on the red. Chief Morton and I were out there looking at it one day. We were standing out in front of the park. As a matter of fact, I was looking at it when Mayor Pro Tem Sawyer drove by. So the idea is when Parks and Recreation needs it, they're going to use it. If it's something that we need to send Public Works, they'll use it. If it's something that the fire department needs to use, they can use it, right? It is an industrial, it's got hot water, you can add chemicals and all that. So it is not, we have an awful lot of employees in different divisions that are hands-on labor type of individuals that can utilize this equipment. It will be housed and maintained in Public Works because that's where the mechanics at. I've not seen I've not had any indication that our equipment that is currently in play isn't being maintained by that department or that what I call mechanic. He may have a different title, but I only know that one person that works on the equipment. I've seen him out there working. As a matter of fact, you and I both saw him out there working on something, and Eric Ding, which is with the Kenneth Morrison out there, right? So in other words, he wasn't working by himself, and he's like the number 2 guy for that. So in other words, they all pitch in because they're all, so when we think what's this group or this group, that is what has gotten us here, that silo mentality. They're all Public Works, they're all police, they're all fire, but they're all city. I don't look at the silo mentality. That doesn't work well in city government, and it certainly doesn't work well in a city this size. So when I say all hands on deck, it's going to be wherever the laborers are that we can utilize. And laborers is just referring commonly. They're the ones that are going to get it done. But I'm assigning it into that department.
So whenever we have to do the library or Boston Avenue parking lot across here, how are we gonna pick that? Who's gonna pressure wash it?
Generally, since the 6 months I've been here, Mayor and council members, it's been Parks. It's been handling Boston Avenue, the fire station. And from what I understand, you know, they're helping me with a lot of other issues with part of the beautification projects. And that's what this is beautification. But there are areas that we've got lift stations, we've got water plants, sewer plant with mildew on the walls that should have been a long time ago power washed, right? We're not maintaining all of our assets. I mean, it's concrete, but it shouldn't be have mildew on it. Doesn't show any pride. So I believe that it'll be utilized because if it's the walls down at the water plant or sewer plant, they got operators that will be taught how to use it. As it is, they already tow equipment generations to work. So they are not the type of individuals that don't know how to utilize equipment.
And I'll finish up on this. You said that the grapple's not interchangeable.
I don't believe it was from my conversation between one unit or the other. Okay,
Are there
okay.
gonna be any other attachments being purchased with this new one? That's it? No, nothing else for like tree grabbing or anything like that, or? Okay. Well, no, they also have one for it's a tree shear, not just a claw. Thank you.
You? All right.
Jolie Shipley. Okay, is it in the budget for 25-26? Ask yourself that question. No, it wasn't. If it was, you wouldn't be here tonight. If it wasn't in the budget, why wasn't it in the budget? Well, that question would be answered best by what's the life of a Gradall? A life of a Gradall that's used daily is 10 to 15 years. Our Gradalls historically, according to the City of Nederland retired employees, is typically 20 plus years. The piece of equipment that you're looking at replacing is 4.5 years old. That doesn't seem feasible to me. I understand that a car might last a few years, but certainly heavy equipment that we see on the side of the highway and in other construction projects lasts longer. I ask you the same question that I'd ask about the Dr. Seuss truck, as I called it, that blows out the culverts. I heard many of you on council, and won't point fingers, don't remember exactly who said it, but you've asked repeatedly from this administration and prior administrations to give you an update. How many hours a month is it being used? Who's using it? Where's it being used? How many culverts did it blow out? I have yet to hear a report on that in a council meeting from anybody. Yet we spent $500,000 just a year ago to get the Dr. Seuss truck because we were going to use it. We were going to blow out culverts. That's still not happening. So my question to you now is, don't make a knee-jerk panic purchase like we did with the generator. If you do a simple Google search, which wasn't provided to you, you'll see that a 2021 Gradall, depending upon the hours on it, is not near its life expectancy. It shouldn't be down like it is, so we certainly need to figure that out, and we need to make sure that it runs. But to spend another $500,000 on a piece of equipment that you have no one on staff to run now is problematic. I would report to you that your minutes report that it was $353,000 spent in September of 2021 to purchase a Gradall. It's a 2021 Gradall. I didn't hear what year this Gradall is. That would be one question I would ask of you to find out, and what the warranty on it is. And while you're doing that, maybe we should ask, what was the warranty on the 2021? It's my understanding they typically have many parts covered for 5 to 10 years because the life expectancy of them is, again, 15 plus years. So please don't spend another $500,000 just to have it sit in the parking lot next to the Dr. Seuss truck and look pretty while we find staff. Let's buy it when we need it and we can use it so it doesn't sit there.
Any other citizen? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. I will start with Ortiz and work up my way
Aye.
from left to right. Aye. Sonia?
Aye.
Jones?
No.
Stratton? Darby? Aye. Randy, what were you saying? Randy, were you saying something? You froze up.
It was an
again.
aye.
Yeah, got it. I got that. Thank you. It passed 3-2. Okay.
No, aye.
Discussion of possible action approving ordinance number 2026-15 and appropriations ordinance adopting a budget in accordance with Article 7 of the City Charter of the City of Nederland. Okay, we had the public hearing earlier. I'll now take a motion and a second to get this baby on the floor.
I'll move it.
Motion by Jones do we have a second?
Aye.
Okay, we got a second by Sonia. Motion and second, Jones and Sonia. All right. Council, any discussion?
Yeah, I think we need to remove some items from this ordinance. And like I said, there's so much to really look at. I was trying to glance through them today and earlier this afternoon.
Curtis, I'd ask you to go to the page number and then the line
Uh,
item.
Okay, hold on here.
And let's do these, if you make your motion, if you're gonna have, 10 things, just as an example, Councilmember Stratton, if maybe we can try to handle all of them in one amendment, motion to amend, but that would be extremely hard. We're gonna have to do these basically one at a time. Usually how you do amendments is one subject at a time.
The first one I recommend removing is the 1308 Boston Avenue.
And what page is that on?
That is
Councilmember Stratton?
253.
253. That is 1308 Boston Avenue. You're saying strike it in its entirety?
In its entirety.
Okay, do we have a second? Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Hearing none, motion dies for lack of a second. Please continue, Councilmember Stratton.
The other one, I'm not sure what page it's on. It's the vehicle for City Hall. Just trying to find it. It was listed out. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I would like to remove that from that part of the budget. Trying to find it here.
And Councilmember Stratton, I think we get I believe the city manager and staff would know exactly where that is, so they would be able to find it. Would you just strike it in its entirety, or would you repurpose the money in some way?
I would like to repurpose the money towards doing some upgrades, take the 40,000 and move it to animal control to do some structural upgrades over there.
And to the building itself, I'm just trying to,
Yes, to the building, any type of upgrades that the building might need. I'd like to see that 40,000 go towards the animal shelter.
So let me just restate your motion, make sure I understand it. And for the city secretary, your motion is to take the 40,000 that would be for the city hall vehicle, for lack of a better term, and repurpose that 40,000 to the animal control budget to be used for structural improvements to the shelter itself.
Yes.
You've heard Councilmember Stratton's motion. Do we have a second?
I'm gonna second it. We'll get it on the floor for discussion.
Okay, seconded by Jones. Councilmember Stratton, you're the maker of the motion to amend. You have the right to speak on it if you want.
Yeah, I know that building animal shelter is pretty old. I put the windows in it probably back in, I don't know, 2000 or whenever it got built. I just know it needs probably some upgrades. I know we got a lot of animals that get put in there. We've been having pretty extreme heat. So if we could get maybe, I don't know if we could do like I'd like to see maybe a misting deal in the kennels to help keep the animals cooler. When it's extreme heat, if that would help, something along those lines, and any other things it may need that at the shelter.
Okay. Any other member of council wish to speak on this motion to amend?
Yeah, I have a couple things. So,
Councilmember Jones.
yeah, I agree. There needs to be more money allocated down there. I talked to staff in the past. They were looking at securing some grants for an actual project, I guess you could call it. But I'm not entirely against allocating money to the animal control. I think that's great, and I think that's noble. But what I do want to mention is where it's coming from. So I might get this wrong, and I'm probably going to reference the city manager, but there was a reason behind purchasing a vehicle for the city hall, and that's because it was putting the city in liability. We heard liability earlier from Ms. Shipley. We got all this. If we have liability, we need to be able to protect the city, which protects the taxpayers. Should there be liability for city employees using their personal vehicle for city business and they get hurt, that's liability to the city. So my question for Mr. Stratton, Councilmember Stratton rather, is what is your solution for that? I like your thought process, but I want to make sure that we don't change this now and then 6 months from now, a catastrophe happens and there's a lawsuit because there was a liability associated with that, with us
Well,
not making that decision.
It's just like my personal truck. It's my personal truck and I take it to jobs. My company isn't responsible if something happens. That falls on me and my insurance. And I would think the same would be the same if they're using their vehicle. Then their insurance is going to be the one that covers it, not the city's. Like I said, I paid my own insurance on my personal vehicle and I use it for my company and to do jobs. And so if something happens, I get in a wreck, I hit somebody or somebody hits me, Ace Glass isn't paying for it. I got to pay for it out of my pocket, or my insurance got to cover it. And that's how I look at it, like that.
Would you yield for a question?
Sure.
Do you carry a commercial rider on your, the policy you have on your?
No, I do
truck?
not.
You do not, okay. I do believe that might be I'm not talking about yourself, but I'm talking about a city employee. A city employee, if he or she does not carry a commercial rider on their privately owned vehicle, their POV, and it is used in city business, and there is they cause or the recipient of an accident, there could be some problems of non-coverage of that person's vehicle. That's and I yield back to you, Councilmember Stratton.
Now I know, like on our company trucks, they have a commercial policy if they're in a company truck. But like I said, my personal, no, I don't carry a commercial policy liability for anything like that. Just normal insurance.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any other council member that'd like to speak on the motion to amend? Okay, citizen.
Thank you, Jolie Shipley still. So one of the questions is, we're not really worried about the liability on these cars because we have employees that are taking city cars outside of the county, far outside of the city, home every night, and you and I are paying the fuel at some of the highest paid gas stations in the city of Beaumont. I watch the guy fill up there all the time. So he's driving it home, he's running errands, he's in areas where he doesn't live. And that's happening in a number of city vehicles that you all are still allowing to drive home in the evening. These are non-emergency workers. This is not detectives that might need to get to a crime scene. These are public works employees. So I really don't think that liability thing matters to that extent. The only 2 lawsuits pending regarding vehicles were in city vehicles or claims being made, or we're in city vehicles where city employees were driving city-owned vehicles and struck people. And then the other problem we have in this case is, where does the lady that takes your water bill need to drive to during the day? I'm really confused by what's the necessity, because my understanding is we've paid mileage for people to drive to the post office and back. But again, that could truly be rectified by using the United States Postal Service delivery option instead of having a PO box. So I don't know where a city employee would be driving a vehicle on a regular basis that $40,000 makes sense. It would make more sense that we have the mail delivered. Now, if an employee goes to training 2 days out of the year in Beaumont, you're paying a mileage anyway. And we've got liability policies for that. So it doesn't make sense to me to spend $40,000 for somebody to go get the mail and back.
All right, any other citizen? Okay, to close out debate on the motion to amend, Councilmember Stratton.
Aye.
No.
Oh.
This is to- You were the maker of the
Oh,
motion. You have a
I'm
right to close any.
Oh,
debate.
yeah, that's all I have to say on, on
Okay.
that, part of it.
Okay. All right. On the motion to amend then to take 40,000 from the purchase of a city hall vehicle, let's call it, and repurpose it to the animal control department for structural improvements to the shelter. Did I adequately restate it?
yes, sir.
All right. All right. We will now go to vote. Stratton.
Aye.
Jones.
No.
Sonia.
Aye.
Ortiz.
Aye.
Yeah, we got you, Randy. And, Darby, no. So it's 3 yes to repurpose the money and 2 no to not repurpose the money. So the money is repurposed. So this motion to amend has passed. Does any other council member have a motion to amend any portion of this?
I don't have a motion, but I have a question.
Councilmember Stratton.
Under City Hall on page 251, you've got rental equipment for 32,500. What is being rented at City Hall, I guess, is my question.
Ms. Stecker, can you help with that? Does it have to do anything with the trailer?
Okay, thank you.
Does any member of council have any other motion to amend? Going once, going twice. All right. Now, on the, to approve the, proposed budget as amended, by Councilmember Stratton's, motion, we will, now go to a vote. Ortiz.
Aye.
Sonia.
Aye.
Jones.
Aye.
Stratton.
Aye.
Darby, aye. The motion as amended passes 5-0. We will have a budget for FY 26-27. That there was nothing else to discuss. The budget has been amended and there was nothing else to discuss. That will be done on September 14th.
They just talked about a couple of names and then they voted.
It is now 8:08 p.m. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you all.